Hey, what's up guys? So welcome to the set dungeon guide for Tal Rasha going into season 19. This is going to be an updated video as the objectives have actually changed over time. So first off, let's go ahead and actually go over where it's at. And then we're going to go ahead and go over the build, and then we're going to go ahead and actually explain how the heck to do it with the gameplay going off in the background. So first off, to access the set dungeon, you of course need the pieces of Tal Rasha, but if you do your season journey, you'll go ahead and acquire the full set. So it's in Act 1, so it's going to be New TRISTRAM, and then where you want to go is the old ruins over here. So we'll go ahead and go to the exact location of it, just to be as thorough as possible over here.
Need more time.
Let's go ahead and just teleport over here. And here is where it's at. So it's basically just going down and then up and to the left, and that's where you will find the set dungeon. Now, this set dungeon, while I wouldn't say it's the most difficult set dungeon, it has one gameplay mechanic that is really annoying, which are the rock worms, because they come out of nowhere and they just make you fail your mission. So let's go ahead and go over the mission objectives first, and I'm going to go ahead and show you guys a build so it'll make things much easier for you. So first off, the primary objective is to kill 90 enemies while Tal Rasha is stacked 4 times. This is very easy, and let's go ahead and explain that really quick. So first off, with the 6-piece set of Tal Rasha, you're going to actually be able to gain this little buff that you'll see over here. So how it works is you have to cycle through all 4 different elements. Those elements would be arcane, cold, fire, and lightning. So you want to have one of each of those on your bar. The skills that you play aren't really strict, but I'm going to go ahead and recommend some of these just to make it a little bit easier for you guys. So let's go ahead and go into it. So first off, to activate that buff and keep that up the whole time, it's very easy. It's actually been changed. It used to be a lot more difficult because you'd have to cycle through all 4, but now you only have to cycle through 2 after activating all 4. So let me go ahead and actually explain that. So you'll see that there is basically the buff over here, but if I activate another skill, you'll see that it says 2, and if I activate another one, it'll say 3, and if I activate another one, it'll say 4. So basically you want 1 lightning, 1 fire, 1 cold, and 1 arcane, but you only need to cycle through 2 of them, and in our instance, teleport will count as 1 and explosive blast will count as 1. So all you need to do is teleport around and activate explosive blast the whole time. Now I am running a wand of woe, but if you don't have that, I'm actually going to recommend Hydra. I'm actually going to recommend you guys not to use a lot of the wizard skills, and the reason why is because they actually make you stand still, and that's when a rockworm is going to go ahead and come up and actually hit you. That's what actually makes it the most difficult, which is the second part of the objective, is to not get hit by a rockworm. If one hits you, that's game over for the set dungeon. That's the most difficult part with this. And then as far as the mastery, it's just to complete both of the objectives and kill all the monsters, which is super easy because you have teleport infinitely with the Ether Walker. So now that you guys know the objectives, let me go and actually explain the build over here. So first off, as far as the things that you want in your cube, the only important thing is going to be the Aether Walker. This lets you infinitely teleport. That's how I'm able to teleport infinitely. You want to have the Calamity Rune because that's going to go ahead and allow you to proc your Arcane and your Tal Rasha set. Loser Boots allow you to ignore unit collision. This is relevant when you actually have a rockworm pop right in front of you and it'll basically body block you. It allows you to basically walk through it. Other than that though, there's really not anything that's super important. If you have to have the Crumb's buff belt along with any form of shield, even if you take shield damage, the Crumb's buff belt will still actually apply and you can still gain that extra movement speed. It just lets you basically not get hit by the rockworms as easy because you're moving a little bit faster. And then for the ring, most of you guys are probably using Halo of Carini or you have it equipped. In my instance, I'm running the Ring of Royal Grandeur because I'm running some... This was a build that I was trying to theory craft. You don't need to copy it, but I know there's always someone that wants to see the full build, so I'm going to go ahead and mouse over it. Look, I don't even have an Ancient Wand of Woe. It doesn't even have a socket in it. It's really easy as far as the damage requirements to actually complete this. But I'm just using this because it procs my Explosive Blast multiple times. And interestingly enough, it does also proc your Familiar, which is quite nice. You'll see the Familiar can actually activate a little bit faster. There's an internal cooldown on this, but specifically because of Explosive Blast and Wand of Woe, since it procs 3 times, it'll actually shoot 3 times. But the most important thing is to not run a skill that makes you hold still. Because I'm teleporting around and basically explosive blasting, the Electrocute and the Black Hole, when I activate these, I will be holding still, but I only activate them in the very beginning of the set dungeon, and then pretty much you never need to activate them again as long as you meet the arcane power resource requirements, which you can throw an astral presence to make your life a little bit easier. So here's what I'm personally running. Again, it's not very strict. The only thing that I would say is strict is using teleport with Calamity and then Ether Walker. And then you want either Explosive Blast, Chain Reaction, or Hydra. The reason why is because you don't want to hold still. Basically, the Rockworms are the only thing that are going to give you any amount of troubles during this. But other than that, the rest of the skills, you guys can go ahead and play what you want. I usually recommend Storm Armor, Power of the Storm. This is a little bit of RNG, but it does kind of help. So it makes it so any lightning spells have 15% chance to stun all targets. I'm thinking it might be able to proc with this. If you can technically stun the Rockworm, by all means. Again, most of these set dungeons, you're not going to die. That's also part of the objective, but paralysis can actually maybe help out with that. If, you know, one of the lightning meteors comes down and actually hits them, you can maybe stun it. It can help out so you don't actually have to run to that. Other than that, familiar with Icicle, it does have a chance to stun or freeze the enemy for 1 second. Again, this is only for the Rockworms, but you can run whatever you want. I don't want to go ahead and go in depth on these, but I will go ahead and mouse over them just in case any of you guys do want to see what I was running for the gameplay. But again, it's not like you have to run anything very specific other than Teleport and Explosive Blast or Hydra instead of Explosive Blast, because you don't want to be holding still. That's the time that you're going to get hit by the Rockworm. But anyways, let's go ahead and hop right into the dungeon gameplay. Alright, so let's go ahead and hop right into the set dungeon. So the first thing you want to do, activate all of your stacks of Tal Rashas before you ever go in. That way you can start immediately completing that objective to kill the 90 enemies. But this video will cover the mastery as well, which is basically clear all the enemies. So one thing that you'll notice is there's where a Rockworm spawns. It's basically where the minimap has that very narrow, like, I'm going to call it like a bridge. And also in these little like square rooms, there will be another Rockworm. Wherever you see a enemy skull on the minimap, but you don't see it in the game, that's usually a Rockworm, and he's hiding, and he's going to pop out and basically make you fail the objective. That's the most difficult part of the objective, is to basically kill the Rockworms, or essentially not get hit by them. That's the biggest problem. Dying is usually not a problem on this Tal Rasha set dungeon, but pretty much because I'm running Wand of Woe, it lets me just walk around the whole time. And I also wanted to mention something that you'll see here. The Rockworm's attack animation is relatively slow. The reason why I recommend the Explosive Blast with the Wand of Woe is because you can actually kill him mid-attack animation. You'll see that I'll teleport right on top of him, and basically what it comes down to is you won't see him because you're paying attention to eliminating the other enemies on the map, and he'll just pops out and he basically makes you fail. You'll see over on the minimap, again, once there's that like skinny area on the like bridge here, this is usually where one will spawn. You'll see I'm teleporting around because I don't want him to pop up right on me unless I have Explosive Blast activated. So you'll see I teleport right on top of his face, and because Explosive Blast is activating very fast, his animation is relatively slow. It could be also due to the Thunder Fury. That does make the enemies move slower, as well as Bane of the Trap. But again, the gems aren't really specific here. I wouldn't really say that there's one that's going to give you advantage. But Bane of the Trap, since it does make the enemies move slower, it can maybe help you out because of their animations being slowed down a little bit. But here you'll see that we complete it with a bunch of extra time. For the most part, there's like a few enemies left over. We've got basically 3 enemies left over here, and you have to double back no matter what with this. Like, there's no path that's going to allow you to complete everything perfectly, because most of the set dungeons are just like this. It's just the way that they're designed. But we have sufficient time over here, so we'll go ahead and go back this way. And again, right there, keep in mind, when you see a skull on the minimap, but you don't see them on the screen, a Rockworm is about to potentially pop up. So during that time, don't stop moving, because that's essentially what's going to get you killed. So you see over here that Rockworm, he just popped right out. Again, pay attention to the minimap in the top right when you see the skull, and if you don't see an enemy, don't stop moving. Because I know some people will be playing this build without maybe Explosive Blast. Whatever you decide to do, I recommend throwing down a Hydra and just continuously move if you don't happen to have Wand of Woe, because more than likely it'll start one-shotting. Again, it depends on your Paragon and what you have as far as your items go. But again, I don't even have my weapon Ancient. And there we go, guys. So that is indeed how you complete the Tal Rasha set dungeon. And just for all intents and purposes, I show off the minimap in its full entirety. And this is about where one of the Rockworm is. There's about another one, and where I'm like basically clicking down here, that's about where they are. Again, they kind of teleport around, but that just is a good little reference so you guys know maybe where they would be about, if in case you do want to go ahead and try to plan it out a little bit more. But again, the key part with this dungeon is to not stop moving. That is the biggest advice that I can give you guys. But anyways, thanks for watching, guys. Hopefully it helped you guys out in your completion of the set dungeon, since this season is going to be the Tal Rashas. But I do plan to make videos for all of the classes this season for, of course, the Conquest. As part of one of the Conquests is to complete one of these set dungeons, as well as doing the Mastery. And we did complete the Mastery, which all it comes down to is just eliminating every single enemy on the screen. But anyways, thanks for tuning in, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did, drop a like on it. And if you are new here and would like to see more Diablo set dungeon guides, as well as a bunch of other Diablo, as well as other gaming content, hit subscribe, turn that bell, and you'll see more very soon. But thanks for watching, have a good one, and I'm signing out. Peace.